Right then, guys, welcome back into the Spooky Shed, your go-to place for conversations around all things weird, scary, and of course spooky. Before we start this one, I want to ask all of you listeners out there to do me a massive favour, and if you can, wherever you're listening to the podcast, if you can go and leave us a 5-star review, or at the least a 4. No less than a 4. I'll take a 4, but 5 would be preferable. But yeah, anyway, so let's get into this one today then. So once I tell you who my guest is, you're not going to need any clues about what we're going to be talking about. So with me today, we have got UFO Joe. So Joe, welcome into the shed, mate. How are we?
Everything's cool.
Good.
I'm just relaxing here. Just left my kids and my exes, so
Fair enough. I've just got mine to sleep, so fingers crossed he stays asleep.
yeah. It's always good.
Yeah. Right. So I did pre-warn you because I always try to pre-warn people, but I didn't give you much time. So I always start my episodes off by getting my guests to leave something in the shed with me. So obviously, like I say, it's purely hypothetical, just a bit of fun. Can be literally anything you want. Could be something you love, something you hate, literally anything. Could be that chain you've got on. Could be a pair of shoes. Could be literally anything. The things people have left in here, nothing surprises me anymore. So what have you got for me, Joe?
Do you keep them locked in?
Yeah. But that's the point, because
I'll send you all the bad people then.
fair enough.
You name it, pedophiles, warmongers, whatever. You name it, selfish
Fair
bastards.
Enough. Yeah. It's still not the weirdest thing people have left in here, so fair enough. Right, anyway.
That's what I want to get rid of.
It's a good shout. It's a good thing to get rid of. Good thing to get rid of. So yeah, like I say,
yeah.
Sounds weird. Like what I always end it off by saying I'll take it, but I mean, I don't really want to, but the rule is I have to. But yeah, if it gets rid of them all, happy days.
So when you lock the shed, throw away the key.
I'll just burn it down.
All right.
Right then. So tonight we're going to talk about the different types of UFOs and USOs, and yeah. But just briefly, for anyone who doesn't know you, do you just want to give us a little brief about what you do and why you started?
I'm just a basic guy. I'm like a regular guy. I got interested in the UFO topic later on, paranormal, and when you research it, believe it or not, you'll become a truth seeker because you're after the truth. Yeah. Down the rabbit hole you go.
Yeah.
And you get into other things other than UFOs, but we keep it UFO today. I'm just a regular guy, born and raised in Transylvania, moved to Sweden 2007 in search for a better life,
Fair enough.
So, yeah,
cool.
I got interested, like I said, into the subject when I was around 12, heard the word UFO. So, and there was some type of news or something. Somebody had filmed a craft, like a silver disc shape over a forest in Transylvania that's known for weird activity, and it looks weird too. So, and I started reading. I devoured basically everything they had on the library. There was a whole nice shelf with books only about UFOs. So I got into that, went on with my life, school. I was still a kid, of course. Didn't think much about it. Then I had my first sighting when I was 16. It was we were at a party up in the mountains, some rich kid's parents' vacation house. So we got to borrow it and party New Year's Eve. What can I say? We went out to pee because I don't like to use the toilet when I'm out in nature, especially up in the mountains. Of course, if you talk about number 2, that's a totally different thing. Number 1 is always outside, fresh air. That's how I am. And so me and a friend, we go out, and he's like, we were sitting there peeing, and he's like, "You're seeing what I'm seeing?" I was already looking at it, of course. It was my first one, but I didn't go like, "Whoa, what's that?" or something, because I've already read a bunch of stuff about them. And he's like, "Are you seeing what I'm seeing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I see it. Just don't talk about it when we go back inside," because, it was taboo.
Yeah.
And those times, if you talked about it, everybody would call you weird and stuff like that, and you wouldn't get any girls. of course. As an adolescent, that was a big thing. And the guy didn't even talk. I didn't even want to talk about it afterwards because I
Yeah.
tried talking to him about it, but he didn't want to. He was like, no, no, leave me alone. So
Fair enough.
yeah, it was those times. So I understand.
Mm. Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, I think a good way to get into the different types then is if maybe I tell you my experience, because I was just telling before we started recording. I've only ever had one experience with UFOs, and everybody that I've spoke to about it, and everybody that I've asked about it, and I've said to them, like, does that sound like anything you've heard of or you've seen before? They've all said no. So
Okay.
whether I'm the only person who's ever seen one, or maybe it was someone
Nah.
completely different, I don't know. So basically, I'll try and be a little bit quick with it because I have told it a few times and people might be getting a bit bored of hearing it. Well,
Mm.
basically, I was driving to work one morning. It was in the summer. It was about 6:30 in the morning, and I was driving to work through the countryside where I used to work, and the sun was behind me. I know that for a fact because I could see it in the rear view mirror. But then in front of me, I could just see like a light, just a round light. And I would say the best way I could describe it, like for size wise, it was like when you can see the moon during the day, but like 10 times brighter, like literally as bright as the sun. And there,
Okay.
like I was just like looking up at it every couple of seconds, keeping an eye on the road as well, obviously. But then when I looked up and it like I say, it was just round circle like that, and then it just sort of like closed in on itself like a camera lens, and then just disappeared.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
mean, have you ever heard
Yeah.
of anything like
Sounds
that?
familiar. Yeah, actually, my last sighting in August, 10th of August, 2024, reminds me of what you're describing, but it didn't behave like that. The thing
Mm,
that you're describing with it closing in on itself could be because it was moving away at a great rate of speed. So
mm,
that's how I would explain that. Mine
mm,
was exactly what you described, like you would see the moon in the sky. Same color, same intensity, same everything. It just didn't have any shapes on it like the moon has. And weirdly enough, it had like a, like an exhaust, like a rocket, exactly how you would see a rocket launch. I've sent you the photo.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it just, I went out for a smoke. That's how it usually happens. And I look every time when I'm outside, I throw my eyes up and look around, and I'm always looking. And this thing came up out of the woods. There's a lot of water all around me, like where I live in the Stockholm area. If you would look on the map, it's all fragmented and lots of fjords and stuff. And there's lots of forests and whatever. So this thing comes up from the woods with that plume underneath it. It looked like exactly like a rocket, but there was no rocket. It was
Mm,
this round thing just going up. It was overcast, thick layer of clouds. I could estimate roughly 800 to 1,000 meters up,
mm,
and it went up straight into the clouds at a slow rate of speed, pretty slow. And I was like, well, that was interesting. And then it came back down, but without the plumb underneath,
mm.
without the exhaust or whatever it was, and then went back up. So it went like slowly up, got into the clouds, and exactly what I thought, well, that was interesting, came back down from the clouds and then went back up again. Why it did that, I don't know.
Yeah, that's definitely weird. You have made me feel better about my own experience. I don't feel as mental now.
Nah, you don't have to feel mental. I mean, there's stuff going on since the beginning of recorded history. So
Yeah.
it's all over in the they
Mm.
call them myths because yeah, that's how they're supposed to call them. But turns out many of those myths are actually what happened basically. Just people
It's
didn't have the
often the
words to
case.
describe stuff, you know.
Yeah.
They were primitives.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So, shall we jump into some of like the different types of UFOs then? Because you're going to basically like giving me a lesson here. Because as much as I love like UFOs, aliens, and all that sort of stuff, I don't actually know as much as I probably should about it. So, like I say, this is literally just going to be like a lesson for me. So I'm just gonna let you teach me about all the different types.
Okay, I'm gonna do my best. based on what I know from my personal experience. There's the orbs. You have the orbs. I think
Yeah.
those are most of them, in my experience, anyway. They are living beings, living things, as you if you could explain it like that.
Mm.
Many people describe them plasma-like and stuff like that. Then there's, of course, physical craft. They can be all shapes and all sizes. I don't know how much you looked around for the UFO stuff on the internet. You have stuff appearing around the sun
Yeah.
at times, like craft and such, that could literally take the earth and put it in the trunk and just fuck off. So we're just a small, tiny, tiny part of this infinite universe. And yeah, but we're sticking to craft. So the way I see it, there's physical craft and what I call beings,
Yeah.
like living craft. Can't call it craft, some form of life.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
At least that's what I think. I have an experience with this amber colored orb that wakes me up. Haven't had it in a long time now, probably 2 years. But it happened since, what can I say, 9 up to last time I think it was in 2023 during the summer. I lay down and sleep and at around 3:30 in the morning, I just opened my eyes and now I know. Because when it happens, I know you get a feeling like go outside and look.
Mm.
And then I go outside and look, and it never failed me when I get that feeling. There's always an amber orb. The feeling I get from it, because I tried to communicate as best as I could
Mm.
from what I understand, telepathy to be transmitting thought, not actually sending verbal stuff.
Yeah.
But just thinking about it, keeping an open mind, opening up and transmitting, trying to transmit. And it reacted. So I don't think it's a craft. That's what I'm calling living being, living entity. Let's call it
Mm.
living entity. It can also be that, I don't know if you've heard about the Buga sphere that they had
Don't think
somewhere
so.
in Mexico or something, some sphere that crashed. I think that's another attempt by Jaime Maussan to get a little bit more fame
Mm.
because there's a lot of fake stuff in the UFO community and a lot of
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say this, but a lot of people go for fame. And the more fame they get, the more they want. You have your guy there. What's his name? British dude comes up in all documentaries. Brain
Yeah, I'm
freeze,
trying to think now.
brain freeze.
I think I know who you mean, but yeah, I can't think of his name. But it's like you say,
The one that
you
was
say
in
we
the
think,
DOD
yeah,
and
yeah,
saw the UFO files, and
mm,
yeah, there's
yeah,
letters
yeah,
sent to somebody that asked the DOD if he was the real
mm,
deal. And they were like, yeah, I don't know. We had him here for like a year or something. He was a regular dude. Of course, he saw the
yeah,
files, but he's no UFO expert. You know, there's so
mm,
many people coming out there calling themselves UFO experts. I don't think there's any experts because, yeah, the only ones that know about what's going on are the big boys from the black projects and stuff. And that stuff will never come out. I'm pretty sure of it.
yeah, yeah. I think the only people like you say you you could call experts are people like that, and like people within like governments and stuff who, like, you know, the ones that do actually know everything that, you know, we on this planet know. Because like I say, it's similar with the paranormal stuff as well. Like, you know, we can all have our own theories and our own thoughts on stuff, but at the end of the day, none
Yeah,
of us actually know 100% fact. Do you know what I mean?
exactly. Yeah, I
Mm.
know. I know what you mean. That's why I stick to what I have and what I've seen that I know.
Yeah.
The rest is debatable. And I don't
Mm.
know. I was thinking about this new disclosure thing that's happening. It happened in the 50s. It happened in the 70s. I think the 80s and 90s were a little bit low on UFO stuff, but
Mm.
disclosure happened before. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It just wasn't that complex as it is today. Because today we're more advanced and everything was simpler back then.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's as well, like I say, way more advanced. Like the others, we'll say, are going to be more advanced as well. I mean, like you say, you got to think where we just as humans on this planet have come from, like you say, from the 60s and the 50s and stuff to where we are now. Like you say, if there's
Yeah,
someone out there that's more
we've come a
advanced than
long
us
way.
anyway, I mean, Christ
Yeah,
knows where they're going to be. I mean,
we've come a long way.
mm,
I remember myself thinking in school when teachers were talking about the future and
mm,
what we're going to accomplish and everything. And I remember thinking, oh, I'm going to be alive. And if you think about it, if you go back and think about, yeah, if I think about what we had in the 80s or 90s, even early 90s, and
mm,
even before the internet and stuff like that, it was basically primitive compared to today's technology. Of course, everything evolved in the UFO sightings too. Some
mm,
things changed. It is like this. It happened all the time. The sightings and the descriptions of crafts seem to have evolved also. The type of crafts,
mm,
because descriptions in the 50s and the 60s, they're more primitive than they are today, than what people describe today. So thinking about that, I think those sightings that evolved with time, and I mean evolved in the sense of how they look and how they, I think those are creations, because
yeah,
we have our own. We have stuff. I know for sure that we have stuff that's probably derived from Downcraft and whatever they maybe shared with us, because
mm,
there's a lot to discuss on that subject about I'm sure you've heard of the Eisenhower case, that he met with the aliens, and yeah, they agreed upon, they reached this agreement: you give us people to experiment on, and we'll give you technology.
mm, yeah.
Basically, what it was.
It's like, I mean, you just like say what one of the how can I word this? So, like the crafts that you hear reported and the like the triangular shape. I mean, that's very much like a fighter jet sort of thing. So, I mean, is that where we've got that idea from, sort of thing? You know, I mean, is there some kind of
Yeah, we
crossover there? Do you think? I mean,
yeah, we have lots of those. I mean,
mm,
they're coming out. If you think about the SR-71 Blackbird and
mm,
the F-117, I think it is the square triangle, the one they used in Bosnia, the one with the sharp edges that
yeah,
looked totally weird.
mm,
117, I think is called. They were developed in the 60s or even the 50s, and they came
mm,
out in the 80s. So what we have now, because you can see the drones, they're triangular and stuff like that. It's technology that we had probably since the 70s or the 80s developed already, but they were classified, and now they're coming out with them. And if you think about them showing us after 2 or 3 decades what they have, they could be 2 or 3 decades more advanced than we can basically comprehend.
yeah, yeah,
And
definitely.
talking about triangular craft, you know about the TR3,
Yeah,
the
I think
one with
so.
the
Yeah,
light
yeah,
at the corners and the one in the middle. Yeah, that's also ours. I think. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it's ours, and it will come out at some point, probably when we're old and gray. And yeah, it's like Ben Reach. You know Ben Reach that worked for Skunkworth
yeah,
in
yeah,
the
yeah.
Black Pro everything. He
Mm.
said in the 90s that we already have the stuff to take ET home. So it's nothing weird. And he said it. He came out and said it, and
Mm,
that we can travel among the stars and stuff like that. Some of them come out. Many of them disappear or get suicided. Like
mm,
we have this general back in the U.S. and they all worked. Some of them disappeared, and some of them were murdered, and they all worked on this special project and stuff. I don't think real disclosure will ever happen, because
no.
if they will go on with disclosure, then they have to show you everything, and everything's connected, kind of. So uh, if you go and analyze, okay, you got this craft, but how did you get this craft? Okay, we had downed a downed UFO, or we received blueprints or technology
Mm.
from the happy guys. And then you come to the part, okay, where you kept it hidden. You spread a lot of disinformation, misinformation. And then you come up to the part, the financial part, where you get the money to get all this stuff.
Yeah,
Of
yeah.
course, tax money. There were a lot of whistleblowers that died trying to expose some part of it, what they knew, because it's compartmentalized, compartmentalized. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the word.
Yeah.
It's very, very compartmentalized, everything. So it's basically need to know, even in their everything they're doing. So thinking about that, I don't think disclosure is ever gonna happen. For me, what I see disclosure today, what they're releasing is just crumbs,
Mm.
crumbs,
Yeah,
crumbs,
definitely.
crumbs.
Definitely.
People busy, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, because
That's my
it's I always think, like you say, if because I don't think it'll ever happen either. I don't think we'll ever get like you say, like full disclosure on anything, because there's a part of me that thinks if we did, like the world would just start like rioting. But I also think, because obviously, like I say, going down a little bit of a conspiracy theory hole here. But obviously, people talk about, like one world governments and stuff. To a certain degree, I sort of think that has already happened, and like all like the major countries anyway, like they're all, to me, I think that they're when it comes to like UFOs and stuff, they're all in full contact with each other and about who's doing what and what with who and why. If you know what I'm saying?
Of course they are. Have you ever thought about the fact that they're all cooperating on the space race?
Yeah,
no
exactly.
matter no matter how many wars, or
Hmm.
no matter who's who, or who's the enemy, or who's they don't care about that when we're talking about the space race. They're all cooperating.
Mm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I don't.
Which again, to go a little bit conspiracy theory again, then could
There's
that
no
be?
conspiracies about it. It's just facts. It's just people that I'm sure you've seen a lot of memes on
Mm.
the internet. People that are interested in whatever they're interested in, not
Yeah.
only UFOs. Because like I told you, when you start reading about UFOs and what happened and the history of UFOs and stuff and the recent history, you go down a deep, complicated rabbit hole, and it's
Mm.
gonna make a freedom fighter out of you and a truth seeker, because
Mm.
everything is connected, and everything everything
Mm.
everything they're doing is like they've been hiding stuff from us simpletons since the beginning of time, and they're working hard on it and lobbying and spending a lot of money just so we
Mm.
don't get to know certain things.
Mm.
Conspiracies, if you think about it, they all turn out to be true. It
Yeah.
just takes a couple of decades before they come out. Take, for example, the chemtrails. They're
Yeah.
talking about it openly now, like
Yeah. True.
calling it
True.
geoengineering or whatever. And I've been talking about it since I was, I don't know, 2.5 decades ago, since I
Mm.
first saw them, because I immediately thought this is not normal. Because I used to spend time at my grandparents' house up in the mountain. And one of the things that we did, because we didn't have toys, we didn't have anything, it was just nature. And you would have a lot of good times just by, playing with other kids, doing regular stuff,
Mm.
whatever. And one of the things that we did was like watching the sunset, and over the horizon, it was the place where all the planes went, and none of them had that endless contrail, as they call it, behind
Mm.
them. They all had a short one,
Yeah.
and there weren't no damn lines in the sky or something. It was
Mm.
clear blue skies. I haven't seen like clear blue sky in a long time, because those things, they spread and they create this gray film over the whole sky. Yeah, that was a conspiracy like 2.5 decades ago. If you talked about it, everybody was like, "Oh, you're cuckoo. You need some medicine." And now I have people coming and tell me, "Oh, God damn it, you were right." Yeah, now think about it. It was 2.5 decades ago. And I was right. And that's why, they use this conspiracy theorist word, just to make people feel bad about themselves and just shut up. so you don't talk too much about it. They used it a lot after they killed Kennedy too.
Yeah.
So people don't go around nosing into stuff and trying to figure out stuff.
I'm pretty sure the whole thing with Kennedy was where the word conspiracy theory came from, wasn't it?
Yeah, the word in itself was invented a long time before that, but it was
Yeah.
when it first got used, abused,
Mm.
you can say, you could
Yeah.
say. So yeah, now we're jumping from UFOs to Kennedy.
Yeah, I know.
It's all connected, man.
Yeah. I
That
know
dude,
that's fine. I always tell myself we're going to stay on topic. We're going to stay on topic,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
it
That's
never
what
ever
I'm
happens.
trying to do. But
It
everything's
never happens.
connected because
Exactly.
that dude was about to release some information about UFOs too,
Hmm.
and it
Yeah.
might be part of the reason why he got whacked.
Oh, definitely.
Not not the only reason, but he wanted to
Yeah.
talk about a lot of stuff. And then Marilyn Monroe, she also got suicided because she knew a lot of stuff. Yeah. Shall we go back to the UFOs?
Yeah, let's go back to the UFOs before the American government like break into my shed.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna do it. They know already whatever they want to know.
Very true. Very true.
We're not getting into that because we're gonna take another turn from the subject. So we
Yeah.
keep it UFO
Yeah.
tonight.
Yeah.
All right.
Is it, you say there we're talking about we sort of got on a bit like how UFOs have like advanced because even when I was a kid it was always the stereotypical flying saucer sort of thing, and you don't well, not that I've seen anyway, you don't really see or hear much about it, like you say, flying saucers as much today.
No, there are sightings. The term flying saucer came from Kenneth Arnold and his sighting,
Mm.
which could also have been uh, secret stuff like black projects
Yeah.
because they looked like half a saucer with a pilot cabin in the middle and stuff. But I'm not saying they're ours. Maybe they whatever he has seen. They're all over the internet. People can go and look it up, and I
Mm.
recommend it because the more you look up stuff, the more you understand for yourself. I can sit here and talk for hours, and people that don't know about the subject, well, nowadays basically everybody knows, kind of. So yeah, I the saucers. They, from what I know, they come from aliens. Of course, we have our own alien reproduction vehicles, like ARVs, as
Mm.
they're called. That also look like flying discs. So there are still sightings of flying discs all over the world. They're still happening. It
Mm.
could be, who knows, maybe the different types of craft come from different types of civilizations. Maybe during time, other civilizations found out about us or discovered the planet,
Mm.
coming in contact with others that have been here. Who knows? There are the flying disc concept. In the antiquity, they were called flying shields
Right.
because there's one mention in history from Alexander the Great of flying shields kicking his troops' asses when he was fighting somewhere. I don't remember. I have a lot in my head, but I don't
Yeah.
keep like I read about it because I'm interested and then I move on. I have some
Mm.
notes. You have the winged disc of Ra, the Egyptians. They
Mm.
have mentions in their ancient history that about, I don't know, hundreds of suns that you
Yeah.
mentioned resembled your sighting. Hundreds of suns that stood there for countless hours in the
Mm.
sky while people were fighting during a war or something. They were probably analyzing, looking, and there's mentions since it's a lot to take in, but they've been mentioned since the beginning of time, basically.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
to start with the Sumerians and stuff like that, because we have those too.
Yeah, yeah, but because that was going to be my point, like I say, with the different types and the different shapes. Because like for me, what I think is basically like what you said there, like the different types of crafts are from different civilizations, different planets, whatever
Different
you want to
species.
call it.
Yeah, because of course,
That's the way I see it, anyway.
yeah, of course they're not going to evolve the same.
Yeah, exactly,
Advanced,
exactly.
advanced civilizations, of course, they're gonna when they meet, they're gonna trade probably, and some of the
Yeah.
stuff uh, could look similar. But
Hmm.
yeah, I've never seen a disc shaped. Never.
No.
I've seen the pyramid, the one I call the peanut, the moon that we just talked about.
Mm.
Three big bright, I don't know. They look basically the same, like the moon thing,
Yeah.
only they were far up in the space in a triangle formation. I was looking at the sky again, smoking a cigarette. At night, I would go outside and just take reference points with constellations and stuff, looking for movement because I didn't use much equipment back then. And I just looked past the roof and saw them. But before I saw them, I felt them.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It was like a business card. Like, there you go, and looking at them, they were like 10, 15 times brighter than Venus and
Mm.
perfectly round, not like you see a star with rays bursting or something. It was
Yeah.
three round things in a perfect triangle out in space, definitely out in space. They must have been huge. I just had this thought in my head. I'm not going for the camera because I'm going to lose the whole thing. And as soon as that thought ended, all three of them just started rotating all at once, became like 10 times brighter and disappeared one after the other. Beep, boop, beep, boop, beep, boop, while rotating.
Crazy.
And I felt the disconnect when they left because they left,
Yeah.
they went somewhere. So I felt like the disconnect
Mm.
after they left. I was like, okay, I'll take it.
Do you think that's like a telepathic thing then? Like, I'd say on their part, projecting onto you, maybe.
Yeah, must be.
Yeah.
There are scientists talking about it. You have your thing in the brain. It's called it's close to the pineal gland, somewhere in the
Yeah.
brain. That's called the antenna. There are scientists that start to talk about stuff. They're
Mm.
coming forward and start talking about it. What I know, I mean, in my personal experience, I know that they're directly connected to your subconscious.
Yeah.
So even before you try to do something, they already know it. And it all happens. Yep.
So this was going to be like sort of like a question I was going to end on, but we'll go to it now because we're sort of on this subject now. But do you think then, because I don't know, maybe they know what we're all doing, and like because obviously then people get more focused on than others. Do you think maybe like that's why you tend to see more than other people do, and like you say, you feel the way you do when you've seen things? Do you think maybe like say that they've made some sort of connection with you? Maybe.
I have this theory of mine that, if you're interested in something, you're going to know more about it. And the more
Yeah.
you know about it, the more open you'll be towards it. So if you open up, of course, there's this dude that I used to go in Zoom meetings, just people talking, sharing
Mm.
experiences, whatever, just normal, nothing recorded, no live, just us, a small community. And there was this dude, he was quite afraid to talk about it because he was afraid of being ridiculed and stuff. And I was like, come on, man, talk
Mm.
about it. It's between us. Look at my name,
Yeah.
because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to lock people in, to talk about it, to open up, to
Mm.
talk about, it's 2026, Christ, talk about it. There
Yeah.
are still
Exactly.
people that
Mm.
can't talk about it. They feel, I don't know. And this guy said that he had an encounter with beings that craft landed, and what they told him, they came out, and what they told him, one of the things they told him, because they told him many things, that we are all one, we are all connected. If you think of the big picture, then yeah, why not? And of course, they're not going to show themselves to, I don't like the word chosen,
Yeah. Yeah.
that, yeah, but of course they're gonna look, there's sightings that happen in the presence of over 60,000 people, for example,
Mm-hmm.
and only 3 of them or 6 of them saw something.
Mm.
In those 60,000, these people were separated in all areas,
Yeah.
and only like 6 people saw something and the others didn't. So
Mm.
yeah, I think the more you open up the more you'll see. If you're like in my case, the first sighting was when I was 16 because I was really interested during that time. And it was just a ball of light with lots of colors on it, probably a few meters in diameter above a apple tree farm. It was a nice depression there, and it was lighting up the trees and stuff. It was really low. And after that, I haven't seen anything until I turned 31. Nothing. Because I got busy with life, with, working, making something out of myself and stuff like that. And it's not that I forgot about it, but I was more interested in building myself up then. And then when everything settled, because I got married and I moved here to Sweden, everything was much better and stuff, even financially and stuff. Since 2000, 2008 was it? Yeah, when I had my first sighting after my 16 years old sighting. After that, it just came like a wave, and I could see stuff like, looking at the sky at night. Of course, your eyes are adjusting and you can see a shit ton of satellites, and there's lots of them, lots of them. I've been filming and going through videos for more than 5 years with night vision, and you can see better with image intensifiers and stuff. And there's lots of satellites of all shapes and sizes and types. And there are people that usually mistake, they call them power ups, when they become brighter. I call them iridium flare because most of them are iridium satellites. And of course, they're rotating and reflecting sunlight. So you can, how should I say this? You can figure out if it's a satellite, if those flashes are regular and they happen during a regular, like every 10 seconds, every 6 seconds, or you have like every 5 seconds, you have a small flash, and then every 6 seconds, you have a big one. That's definitely a satellite.
Yeah.
I don't, UFOs will not power up just because they're going by through space and somebody here on Earth, oh, we're here, wow, we see you. I don't know. Maybe it happens for some people, but I don't know. I used to get excited too when I saw bright lights and stuff like that through the night vision. I was like, whoa, what's that? But then when you start to read about it and study the stuff, you have these, they're called NOS satellites. They're Navy satellites, and they come in pairs or even three together, and they go at the same pace, same distance, same everything. And they can become really, really bright at some point. From my personal experience, I was watching, not Venus, Jupiter was doing some crazy shit. It was a blue sky at night. I mean, you could see the blue side of it. It just turned into night. So you could still see, and Jupiter was there. I was looking at Jupiter and Saturn, and as the usual, I was smoking. And Jupiter suddenly starts to dim out and then disappears. And I was like, what the fuck? There's no clouds around. There's nothing. I have a video about it, even the original plus the enhanced version. And you can see there's no clouds. There's no nothing. But the only thing that could dim it out, in my mind, it would be a chain of satellites, but not the Starlink ones, because those are too small. But who knows? Maybe they have some secret satellites or something passing through that space. Out in space, of course, something big. Because it went like, I don't know, 8 or 9 times. It went like dimmed out and then disappeared for a couple of seconds. Then comes back again. And we're talking Jupiter. That's a big ass planet. Failed star even. Because that's what it is, Jupiter. It's a failed star. Yeah. Funny stuff happens. You just have to look for it. And of course, the connection is there. Once you see them, I had this amber thing. I don't know if it was a craft or if it was an entity or something, but I felt the connection also. I was looking for stuff. I was following some satellite. I have it on video, but it's just green screen with lights on it. It's through night vision. All of a sudden, it pops in I had a 7-inch display connected to the camera to be able to see better. So it pops into the frame, and I was like, what the hell is this? And I look up, and it was there. It was so bright that the eye couldn't handle it. So you had like 7 rays of light, really long ones, and defined. And through the camera, I could see it had 2 extra lights close to it. So I had to look again. Is it a lens flare, or are those lights really there? And they were really there. And it came. When it came above me, I felt tingling, like going through my brain and down my spine. And I was like, I see you. And it slowed down and turned in another direction. Light turns.
Yeah.
It's visible if you speed up the video on how the camera turns and everything. And so it went away. A week later, I think. I'm not sure. I'll have to look at it. Came back again. Same thing, only it went in a different direction. And this happened in Transylvania. 2 weeks after that, I got back to Sweden, and I caught it here too. And then I never saw it again. So I
Yeah,
think
that is crazy.
that was just a traveler. I came, I saw, and just went on its merry way. I don't know.
Fair enough. So you mentioned 2 there that you called the pyramid and the peanut. Do you want to tell me about them? Because that intrigued
Yeah,
me
well,
straight away.
yeah, I was living in a. We're talking about the pyramid now. I was living in a camping at the time because, while trying to find a place to stay, you rent. I had rented a house, and the guy just, was a complete asshole. So long story short, I had to move. There was no other place available on such short notice, but that camping where I lived 4 years before my ex came here with the kids. So we used to go it's by this lake, and we used to go and fish there. And we had some friends from the camping, a Spanish guy that was married to a Swedish girl. It was me, my ex, and my oldest son. My youngest wasn't even born yet. So we were just fishing, regular day, nothing unusual. It was about, I don't know, 8, 9 in the evening. The sun was still up in the middle of the summer here. The sun is like 30, 40 degrees from the horizon. And I remembered my old days when I used to go there by the lake on a big rock with a bag of beers and a foldable chair and just sit there and enjoy the sunset. And that thought popped into my head. And I was looking to see where the sun is. And by going along the horizon before getting to the sun, I see this, they're called tetrahedrons, 3-sided pyramid. It was at an angle somehow. I could see 2 sides. I was really good at space geometry in school. So that's how I know it only had 3 sides because of the way that it was shaped. And it had like black lines on it and a visible kind of, I don't know if it was a separation or it was a black long thing, window, whatever around it that was separating the top from the bottom. And you had like black lines separating squares on the pyramid. And when I laid eyes on it, the side that was opposite to the sun was to my right, and the side that was to the left, its left side, started glittering like a silver color. The pyramid itself was like it was made of gold, not golden, but as you can see, physical gold with the, and it glittered silver, like silverish, like. And I look at my friend, I didn't have anything with me. He had his advanced phone for that time. I was like, film that thing, film that thing. And he was like, what? I was like, that. And I look at him, and then I point at the thing, and he's like, what the fuck is that? I was like, film it. When I looked back, it had already gone a bit. So you couldn't see it if you didn't know where it was.
Yeah.
And I just thought, I'm never going to take my eyes off of that because I know I'm going to lose everything. It's just like went. It just vanished. I mean, vanished. It went at an incredible rate of speed and just whoop. And that was my only. No, I'm lying because it's not my only sighting during daytime or daylight time, so to speak. That was, and the whole thing, I don't know, all my sightings, I think the longest one was the peanut, because this one was, what could it be? 10 seconds, 10, 15 seconds. It happened really fast, but it was there and they all saw it. The peanut, then there's nothing really to talk about that pyramid except for the fact that, coming back to it now, thinking about it in the later years, that thing, that glittering thing, it could have been some propulsion thing. It was
Yeah,
preparing to
maybe.
just fuck off.
Mm.
Stuff comes after, because when you see it, okay, you saw it, and then yeah, later on there are thoughts popping into your head. Oh, maybe that's what it was doing. Maybe that's what that part was. Maybe because I didn't really analyze anything that I've seen in detail. I just saw, you could see the details on this thing, and it was huge. I mean,
Mm.
I know we have this globe in Stockholm that's really known like a tourist attraction, and I know where that's placed, and I know where this thing was, and so I have some reference points. I know it was about 30 kilometers away, if not 40. So it must have been, I don't know, maybe 4 stadiums,
Yeah.
the size of it, huge, but it was
Mm.
way out there. The peanut was yeah, I was living like 40 minutes, 45 minutes away where I was working, where I was starting the day working. So I had to drive early in the morning, like 1 hour earlier, just to be there.
Mm.
It was early morning. The sun wasn't up yet, but it was daylight, almost daylight outside.
Yeah.
And the area where I was living has the biggest underground Swedish military base that's carved into a big rock underneath. You can see it. It was a secret base. Now you can see it on Google Earth and everything. They had
Fair enough.
they still have submarines there and everything. But he says, I've never been inside that, but there are people that have been there, because if you get clearance, you can go and do regular jobs. They need maintenance too and stuff. So,
Mm.
but they say it's as big as a city
Fair
underneath
enough.
there. So it's really big.
Yeah.
So I'm driving on a highway, no cars at all. Later on, there was a car in front of me, 400 or 500 meters in front of me. But when I started seeing this thing, I was driving a van, and I see this round nose in the corner of a windshield coming in. And I was like, what the hell? That must be a Black Hawk, because they have that almost
Yeah.
round nose when they come into view. And I see this, it comes in a little bit more into the windshield's frame, and it comes in. And I see this yellow light. And I'm like, okay, that's weird, because the light looked like it was getting sucked in again, the light
Mm.
rays. It wasn't spreading any light rays downward. It was just like, if you look at the sketch that I sent you, you'll understand.
Yeah.
And the other, yeah. So, and then I start to look, because it had already come. It was pacing me. I was doing 130 kilometers an hour, something like that, and it was pacing me, going slightly faster than me. So I had time to really look at it. It was like 10 meters above me, and there's this portion of the highway that goes up and then down again and then up again. So at the second uphill, I came closer to it, probably closer than 10 meters. I noticed, this is not right, because I started seeing shapes on it and stuff. I was looking for propellers or wings or whatever, windows, nothing. Just pure black, the deepest black that I've ever seen in my life, like a scary black.
Yeah.
But I didn't get scared. So I was like, what the hell is this? And then that round shape continues, and it goes, it's now like, this is weird. And then it goes back again to get wider, and it ends
Mm.
up with another light under the second round thing. But it was like really smooth. It wasn't like, I've seen drawings from people that, you had one globe here and then some straight thing and then another globe there. No, this was continuing like a perfect peanut, like the one that. And the texture of the surface was weird, because it had like undulated stuff on it, but really a regular pattern.
Mm.
And it looked like it was moving, like it was alive, like it had some kind of dark energy moving all over its surface. There were no windows, no nothing. Just those two lights under each bulge, so to speak,
Yeah.
with the same effect, with the rays getting sucked in, which later on when I thought about it, brought me to the idea that maybe that was their propulsion system.
Yeah, maybe.
They
Maybe.
weren't really lights. So he
Mm.
just went, but I'm not sure. I can't tell for sure. This thing was like 45 seconds close to me. And then
Mm.
it moved diagonally over the highway, went above some forest. There's a lot of forest everywhere over there. And as I said, I was already on top of that uphill on the highway, and I was starting to go downward. And I saw it going over the forest in the middle of nowhere over there. That's when I saw the other car, but he probably didn't see anything because I was up on the hill. That's why I could see it. And I knew it was there. And I know that Swedish drivers, when they're looking, they're just focusing either on the road or on the phone. That's it. They're not looking for stuff. So I'm 100% sure that person didn't see anything because
Mm.
from their vantage point, they couldn't see it. So it went over the woods and it threw down this beam of light like it was perfect. It was sharp, not spread like when you turn on a light. It was a definite beam of light, like, yeah,
Like a
and
column.
really intense. The intensity of it was really bright. And it did that for 3 seconds, then it disappeared, the beam of light. It went faster, a bit further, threw down the beam of light again, and then vanished. The whole thing lasted probably over a minute,
Mm.
but at the
That is.
closest point when it was pacing me and stuff, it could have been 40, 45 minutes or something, seconds, sorry. So I really had time because it felt like time slowed down. It really
Mm.
felt like that.
Yeah, I
So
can
I had
imagine.
time to look at it, even if I was driving. The highway was empty, nobody was there. So I had time to look and look and look and look. Funny thing about it is that in that moment, I had received from my employer, it was the first model of Sony Ericsson, the Android phone. And it had a camera and I could film with it, but I wasn't used to it because, yeah, I had all kinds of crappy regular mobile
Yeah.
phones and you didn't use them for filming stuff. So
Yeah. When a
I
phone
wasn't
was a
used to
phone.
it. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I wasn't
Mm.
really that's my only regret, I think, throughout my entire life that I didn't pick up that thing and film it because that's the closest thing, the
Yeah.
closest I had, the closest that I had, the craft closest to me babbling. Learning Swedish fucked up my English really bad. So yeah. So that's the closest. I'm gonna let it go.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I tried to explain it to my work colleagues at work and drew
Mm.
it in the sand even with details and stuff. They were like, yeah, whatever. And for me, it
Oh,
was like a big deal because I never had seen something that close to me.
yeah. Yeah.
So that was exciting. I
I
wasn't
bet. I
afraid
can
because I'm not
imagine.
afraid. I'm not
Mm.
afraid. I'm not afraid of them.
Yeah.
And fear is a big
Well,
factor.
yeah, definitely, definitely. Well, just to finish off then, because obviously you mentioned about the beam of light.
Yeah.
Again, it's almost like a stereotypical thing, but I think a lot of times stereotypical things are stereotypes for a reason. But like, so what have you got any idea, any thoughts on what that was doing then? Because like I say, typically in the movies and stuff, that's people getting beamed up or beamed down or
Yeah, yeah, it's not impossible. I mean,
mm,
if you think about it, most of them coming here, except for the ones that are cooperating with governments and stuff, because we have those.
hmm
There are a lot of them that are basic scientists that probably
yeah,
see this. Look, it's a blue planet. Let's go check it out. And what scientists do, they collect samples, they experiment on stuff. They collected something or they collected
mm,
one of their dudes probably that was out there
yeah.
probably doing something, or they saw something. This is interesting. Let's beam it up, see what it is. My explanation, easy explanation. I don't know. It could be more complicated than that, but I don't. I
Mm.
don't see any other reason of throwing a beam of light like that into the woods for nothing.
Yeah,
So
that's what I mean. It seems like a strange one, but yeah,
yeah,
yeah. It just really does fascinate me. All of this stuff. I fucking love it.
It is fascinating. It is. And the more you're open, the more open you're to it, the more things are going to happen. I think I have
Yeah.
to open up again because I'm dealing with life right now. So
Yeah.
I haven't seen much.
I think that's what I need to do, because I've got a friend, you probably know him, Tommy Cullum from Let's Get Freaky, his podcast.
I've seen it.
He has a little saying for the paranormal of, when you look into the paranormal, it looks back. Over
Yeah,
my
yeah.
years of looking more into the paranormal, that's definitely true. And obviously, you're
I
essentially
think,
now saying the same thing for the UFOs and the aliens.
I
I think
think
I might
it's
have to
all
start.
connected.
Yeah,
If you
definitely.
think about what's that farm? I have so many things in my head that the farm that they have a documentary about it.
Mm.
The farm that Bigelow bought, Skinwalker, right?
Skinwalker Ranch,
Skinwalker.
yes.
Yeah. Just to mention, because you mentioned that if you look into it, it's looking back at you. It's the same thing there. You can take
Yeah,
stuff with you at home and it
yeah,
will follow you. But again,
definitely.
it has to do with, that's why I said that fear is a big factor, because it depends on how you see things,
Mm.
because they feel,
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
and not all life forms are good. You have the
Mm.
good, the evil, the light, the dark. So some of them,
Yeah,
of course, will feed off that fear and probably even try to amplify it and test you without
definitely,
you even knowing. That's why we have
definitely.
those like hair in the back of your head
Yeah, yeah.
racing and, you know, shivers and shit, whatever you feel.
Mm.
That's why
Yeah,
I don't feel that, and I don't have that wow effect because I've already formed an idea in my head before I even saw something.
mm.
So that's a big thing. Most of the people, especially the ones that are afraid to talk about it, I believe, is because they didn't know anything about it, and when it happened, it shocked them to the core. So you have
Yeah,
religious people that have seen stuff. It
mm.
crushes your whole religion thing and everything you know about
Yeah,
life, and that's a shock to the system.
definitely, definitely.
So yeah.
Right then, Joe. Well, I think that's a good place to leave it. And just on a final message for people is, don't be scared.
Yeah, don't fear it.
Yeah,
Analyze it. By all
yeah,
means, just don't go straight to it.
mm.
Wait around, see what happens.
Yeah,
But don't be,
yeah. Don't be scared. Just be smart.
yeah,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah. Right, Joe. Well, I've really enjoyed this, so I really appreciate your time. I
Well, me
appreciate you
too.
coming on the show. So, and I think we're definitely going to have to do this again at some point. So, if people want to find you, where can they find you?
Well, I'm on Facebook. It's the easiest way. It's the easiest. I'm on Instagram too, but I don't go there very often. I usually
Fair
go
enough.
there to look at reels to
Fair
make me
enough.
fall asleep.
Fair enough.
But on Facebook, I'm the same UFO Joe. If you look at the profile photo, you'll see me.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I'm
Right then,
unmistakable.
guys, we shall leave it there for this one. So, as always, go and
All
follow
right.
our Instagram page at the Spooky Shed Podcast. Link in the bio there for all the other socials that we still don't use, but YouTube channels there, Patreon page, merch store, and all that other good stuff. And we shall speak to you next time.
Sure will. Have a good one.
The Spooky Shed podcast is a Pod Shed production.